The Lemon Test is a three-part test that the Supreme Court uses to determine whether a law violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, which says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The three parts of the Lemon Test are as follows. First, a law must have a secular purpose. Second, the law's principal or primary purpose can neither advance nor inhibit religion. And finally, the government may not be excessively entangled in religion. The Lemon Test came from the 1971 Supreme Court case, Lemon v. Kurtzman. At issue was whether the government could provide state funding to private religious schools. Two states, Pennsylvania and Rhode Island, each passed statutes that provided financial assistance to private schools, many of which were religious. This funding subsidized the cost of textbooks and instructional materials for non-religious subjects, and it also supplemented teachers' salaries. In the majority opinion, Chief Justice Warren Burger applied the three-part test to the statutes at hand. First, the statutes did have a secular purpose, as they were intended to educate students. Second, the statutes were not intended to advance or inhibit religion. However, the Lemon Test's third prong, that the government could not be excessively entangled in religion, was found to have been violated. The court reasoned that government oversight would be required to ensure that the funds were being used strictly for secular purposes, thereby creating excessive government entanglement with religious schools. As a result, the laws were deemed unconstitutional. Those in favor of the Lemon Test argue that it provides manageable standards by which the Supreme Court can evaluate cases pertaining to the Establishment Clause. Thus, having this set of guidelines would provide some uniformity in how the courts evaluate and rule in these cases. Others argue that the Lemon Test is too vague and has been selectively invoked as a means of striking down disfavored laws. Justice Antonin Scalia once compared the Lemon Test to some ghoul in a late-night horror movie that repeatedly sits up in its grave and shuffles abroad after being repeatedly killed and buried. He continued that, "It is there to scare us and our audience when we wish it to do so, but we can command it to return to the tomb at will." The future of the Lemon Test is uncertain. While still used by some lower courts, the Supreme Court has been hesitant to apply it in recent years.